This message is a little about three very simple things to keep in mind as you work in whatever you're doing, whether it's your side pursuit or whether it's your career or whether it's a project that captures your heart. There's hardly a time when you can go to a wedding when you don't hear some part of Paul's message to the Corinthians chapter 13 on love, right? You've heard love is patient, love is kind, and he goes on and on and on. He finishes that chapter with abiding by three things: faith, hope, and love. And that's phenomenal for many parts of your life, for your life in general, should you abide by those three things. I'm going to couch them for you in a business sense, which you may not relate business to that, but it's extremely impactful. So first, let's talk about faith. So you have to have faith, right? So what is faith? Faith is a belief in something you haven't seen yet, right? That's a simple way to put it. It's a belief in something you haven't seen yet, which by definition would be whatever you're trying to accomplish because you haven't seen it yet, right? Of course, to do something you've never done, you're going to have to become more than you've ever become. You're going to have to do things you've never done or do them at a level you've never done them to create an outcome that you've never seen before. That takes faith, right? So the first place you have to have faith is in yourself, that you have what it takes. Just because you don't recognize it, just because you have doubts, just because you have fears, doesn't change that fact. It doesn't change the fact that you have all you need. It's just your job and your actual responsibility to the planet to become the best version of yourself and understand and develop the things about you that are unique and special, that are how you're supposed to make your way. So you have to have faith that you can become more, because to achieve more, you have to become more. And I mean sustainably. I don't talk about microwavable stuff. I'm not a hypey guy. I'm not into do this and you can make millions overnight, because that's just a bunch of stuff, right? And there's too much of that out there, and it creates false beliefs in people, and then they feel worse when they don't have that happen and think like, well, it can happen for that one single person who's talking about it, but it can't happen for me. You got to have faith that you are enough. That's the first thing. And so you got to go to work on that. You got to build that out a little bit. And then you have to have faith in the process. Whatever you're doing, there's a process. Very simple. There's nothing you can't boil down to a process. And in my book, Three Circles Living, I give you a process for health, both physical and mental. I give you a process for relationships. I give you a process for being successful and building in your career and working and doing better. I give you a process. Why? Because there's a process to everything. There's nothing without a process. There's not shortcuts. You can't shortcut processes because you're leaving out steps, and steps are fundamentals. It's sort of like building a house without the foundation. You can't miss a brick. If you miss a brick, you got a faulty house. Same thing. You have to have faith in your process, and that's relatively simple to do. You can look at the steps that are required to accomplish something, and can you do those steps? If the answer is yes, then that process works. It's not that hard. It's relatively simple. Most things in life are simple. And so you have faith in your process, and so you work that process with the faith in the outcome. That doesn't mean you can control the outcomes, because outcomes are interdependent. They have based on what other people do, based on circumstances around you, but you can control working your steps. So you have faith in the process, so you work it faithfully. And then you have to have faith in your heart, right? Faith in things that you're drawn to. You're supposed to be drawn to those things. I'm not talking about when you get out of kilter and you get caught up in wanting things you think other people should want you to have, or that look good for others. That's not you. When you have something that's an urging of your heart to do because it inspires you in some way, or it feels right, that's right, right? That means it's right for you. You wouldn't have it otherwise. And so you have to have faith that you're doing the right thing in the right way. I mean, if you're not doing the right thing in the right way, none of it's going to matter anyway. So that's the first piece, faith. The second is hope. Now hope is not much of strategy, right? You can't have a strategy of hope. Hope is inspiring, right? See, when you have hope, you are inspired. When you have hope, you are empowered. When you have hope, you project an attitude of hope, right? Which is positive. Hopeless, that's a really bad place to get, right? And we've all had that experience where we felt hopeless. We don't have to live that experience. We can have it for a minute, but then it's up to us to work our way out of it, because there's always hope. There's always plenty of good things, right? And that's a part of instilling hope, is focusing on what you can control. I did a video recently about control versus no control. When you focus on what you can control, you're hopeful, because that, for example, is the process. That, for example, is developing yourself. That, for example, is considering the things that are good in your life. Those are sources of hope. Considering the things that you have done in your past. Those don't represent your future. Those are just clues that you are capable, because you are capable of so much more than you know. And that's another thing to have faith in. You haven't begun to test the boundaries of your capacity, not remotely. You're never going to reach full potential unless you've been trained for it from the moment you were born. But you can continuously become a better and better and better version of yourself. And then the third one is love. And again, you might not associate love with business. Think of it as relationship, right? Because if you do business transactionally, you can make a living. If you do business relationally, you can build an incredible life. And all business is about people. It's about serving the needs of people. It's about helping people. That's what business is. If it's not that, that's the wrong heart space. Then it's about you. And granted, I know you have needs and wants and desires and things you're trying to accomplish, and that's great. You should. But they're best developed through serving fellow mankind. That's how it's done. And so love in this equation means you're patient. You're patient with others. You're patient with their process. You're patient with their choices. Respect of their choices, their process, their life, their decisions, because it's their life. It's not yours, right? Your job in the work, in whatever your work is, to make people aware that you have something that can help them and to follow through and support them in the process if they take a step. If they don't choose you, that's okay. There's other people. You can't serve everybody. You got to serve the people who want to be served. Then kindness. There's no excuse not to be kind. Not a single one I can think of when you're engaging with other people. And man, kindness is so powerful. Again, it leaves such a powerful ripple in people. It doesn't just help them, it helps them all kinds of, it touches people that they touch because you were kind to them. And caring, you have to genuinely care. And when you do genuinely care, people feel it. You can't tell someone you care. You have to care. You can't say, well, I care a lot about you. You shouldn't have to say you care. It should be evident. It should be noticeable. They should feel it. And so when you put those three things in your everyday basket of how you operate, faith, hope, and love, there is no limit to what you can accomplish. So I hope that this is helpful. If you want to connect with me in other ways, I'm on LinkedIn. I have a Facebook fan page where I provide content. In both places, I provide free content. You can also be a part of my blog site where I produce at least one article a week with video sometimes, but there's a massive bank of resources there free for you that can help you in your work in any capacity, because that's what I do. I help people to be better at what they do. I help people to do better in life, and I help organizations to bring out the best in their people and have tons of content that's free on that blog that are on practically any kind of situation or skill that you would want to acquire. And then I also, I wrote the book 3 Circles Living, which is an incredible platform for creating the life that you want. And I believe life is too short to settle for anything other than that. And the cool thing is, the closer you get to the life you want, the better you're able to serve greater needs in others, which is really neat. So I hope that you found this helpful. Have a great rest of your day.